So now we're going to look at some options for some online resources that you're free that you can use with your students as you explore some music theory. So one of my favorite things that I found during the pandemic was Chrome Music Lab, and there are so many things in Chrome Music Lab. So we're going to go out and take a look at Chrome Music Lab. So Chrome Music Lab is a sort of free activities that you can see here, and they add more to it as they go. And there's so much that students can do. This one's a shared piano. So they can get into the piano keyboard here. I'm sorry that my internet is a little slow here. But they can see how it gives them the keys. And you can actually put multiple people on the shared piano. And you can change the sound to different synthesized pizzicato strings. They can save it. And they can create a new room and invite people to the room and they can collaborate. So it just gives them a chance to kind of play around there. There's a lot you can do with that. Song Maker. The kids got really good at this during the pandemic. So they can actually just put in notes and you can get really fancy with this and then they can play it back. And they can create, this is great for creating things like ostinato patterns or showing kids how to create some melodies. And they've got some different sounds and effects and all kinds of things, and they can save these and actually submit them. So you can get really fancy. I'm just clicking around, but if you go online and look, there's people that on YouTube have put out some of their songs they've made on Songmaker. Okay, we're gonna go back. Yes, I'm sure I would like to go back. You've got a rhythm one here. So we'll click the rhythm guy. So you can add the rhythms where you'd like them here and then play your rhythm. So they can hear what it sounds like and they can experiment with that. So some different options. So they can kind of mess around and get some early rhythmic things. Again, just getting them some exposure to some different rhythms. There's some different animals here. So you can hear. So you can see the little guys up there. These guys. The claves. So you can see all the different characters. Let's climb on some of these. More cowbell. So you can see all the little characters in the rhythm there. So they can play around with different rhythms. This one. So they can choose the instrument. So it'll just give you the visual field of it. It's just kind of cool. It gives a little spectrogram. Play around with that. They can have sound waves. So they can see as they get higher in pitch, the sound waves move faster and they move slower there. So they can investigate that a little more, get a little closer and to see the wave. And they can see the height of the wave. That's really great for a physics connection. Let me scroll down here. Get some arpeggios going here. So this is good. You take them through all this circle of fifths. And you can go through all sorts of things. There's the minor keys. And you can change. Do all kinds of experimenting with that. Again, these are just great things you can do with kids. This is a Kandinsky one where they can draw. Kandinsky did the art with the sound. So that you can pick the colors. And they can draw. Let's see if I get the other color. So the different instruments. And then they can play it. So it's kind of cool, tie into art and music. These are just fun to mess around with, honestly. voice spinner. So you can try out all these. There's so many of them. These are the string vibrations with the harmonics, which is pretty cool. So that's really neat. That's really helpful for string players to see, so you can mess with that. There's just a lot of options, and it'll tell you about all the experiments that are in here. I think they've even added some since the last time I was in here. This is good for string lengths. See where they're cutting the string, how it's vibrating. Sorry, not clicking well. So they can click on the string. I think it's on this part. And so as the string gets shorter, you can just, these are great little ways to just experiment and have the kids experience some of these things. So I love Chrome Music Lab. I think it's just a fun, easy way. And I think especially even with younger kids, you can do a lot with it. Okay, musictheory.net. Very free and very versatile. Tons of theory lessons that you can have your students work on. They start with the very basic all the way, they get pretty advanced. You can get into some really specific interval stuff, some seventh chords, all kinds of good stuff. The great thing about these is, let's say you're working on, I don't know, let's note duration. So it'll give them like a whole tutorial, and then you can actually assign, you can create assignments in here and give them to your students, and then they can submit a screenshot of their score. You can do all kinds of things with musictheory.net. Lots of different options for lessons where you can create the assignments. We've done a lot with this with just note reading kids that need remediation, as well as key signatures. A lot of kids have to work on their reading of key signatures. So you can have them, go through and practice that. There's the lessons, then there's the actual exercises. So simple note identification. So that gives them the note, and then they find the note name. It'll play it and give them a green. So let's say I pick the wrong note. It'll give me a red, and then I go, oh, that's not G sharp, that's G flat. So, okay, let me find G flat. There it is. So they can go through, so you can have them get a certain percentage. So after they do the lessons, then there's tons of interval identification, there's just so much in here. The only thing is I find that they have this fretboard stuff that's for guitar. So for strings specifically, it's less of the geography stuff, but so much basic music theory. So you can definitely set up some different assignments for your students. All kinds of cool things. So you can give that a try. That's a great online one that's free also. Click this one out. These are some different activities where you can match the beat, fill in the blanks that's missing, metronome, all kinds of things. So you can get out here and play with these. So you press, so then they have to go put in the rhythm, ta ta ta. Okay. And mine sounds the same. So then they're learning to use the oral skills to figure out some of those rhythms. There's all kinds of activities in here as well for you to experiment with. Let's get this one. Okay, this has got tons of activity also. Do the keyboard mode. So this is kind of like Guitar Hero, where they have to press the keys and it goes. I'm not going to try to play it because I'm not that coordinated. The kids get really into this. So they can press the different keys and it'll go and play music for them. And there's all kinds of things here. This is a lot like Guitar Hero, but it's just fun for them to keep the steady beat and do an activity with that. Drag and drop Google Slides are so cool. So for example, we've been working a lot on fingerboard geography this year with some of our ninth graders because a lot of them are just second year players. And so they had to, one of their assignments was to put all the notes on the D string. So they had to drag and drop all their D string notes. So when they were done, then they would just come over here, they would share it to the assignment, and they would share the link with me through our classroom. And then I would be able to see, okay, do they know where the notes are? And then the next assignment was they had to do the G string, then the A and the E. for the violin, etc. And then we had one that went into third position. These are so nice because they just drag and drop the stuff in, wherever it goes. There's the G, and I'm not looking at what I'm doing. Drew C sharp. And this was great because the enharmonic notes were already included. And then as we got more advanced, we made one for each enharmonic, so they had to remember what enharmonic went with what enharmonic. So these are just such great things for students to be able to do. They're very easy to make, and so many people have them for free anyway out there. Body percussion is another fun online thing we can do for rhythm. If you Google body percussion on YouTube, so this is one, and you've seen these, a ton of these came out in the pandemic, but these are great for rhythmic development. So they're doing this along with you. So they're going through these with you in the class. These are super fun for warm-ups and just beginning class activities to get them moving and kind of listening and playing in rhythm. Those are just some of the online resources. There are so many out there now. All the music writing programs that are out there now, Note Flight, which is the one I couldn't remember earlier, MuseScore, Flat, tons of options, lots of things integrate well with Google Classroom or even just with Google products in general, but tons of options for you to experience for your students. Music theory does not have to be the old days where we gave kids all the workbook and they finished a page and went to the next page. Now we can really integrate it into everything they do so that music theory becomes alive for them and becomes part of what they're doing. So I would love to hear your experiences with teaching music theory in your classroom, what your students enjoy, how you've maybe over the years shifted your view with teaching music theory. And so I hope to hear from you on our discussion this month as we explore music theory in the orchestra classroom.